Hi, this is a new form of video that I haven't done before. I'm going to be watching and explaining my feelings about the Disney TV show, The Acolyte. I feel obligated to state up front that I'm a huge fan of Star Wars and have grown up with watching episodes 1 through 6, as well as the Clone Wars TV show. Even after Disney bought the rights to Star Wars, I've seen plenty of it, including 7 and 8, all of Mandalorian, the new Clone Wars, all of Bad Batch, some of Rebels, Rogue One, the pitiful Obi-Wan show, and one of my favorite shows I've ever actually seen, Andor. I never had an intention of actually watching The Acolyte, however, one of my coworkers said it was pretty good. I decided to search online, but the videos I saw did not agree with him. The two that inspired this video were The Desecration of Soul by user Jedi Brooks, and The Perverse Morality of the Acolyte by Lost Chord, neither of which filled me with any confidence about this show. So before I start, I will admit I have some bias while watching this. I have seen some of the spoilers, and I do know the basic outline of what's going to happen. Despite this, I will try my best to be as objective as possible and explain my reasoning for certain things. Finally, these are all my opinions, so you have every right to disagree with me. Now, to the actual episode. So the episode begins with a short wall of text explaining what's going on. It also confirms that this is in fact taking place in the same universe as the rest of the Star Wars content. We then find ourselves on a planet, and a mysterious woman walks up to the front gate and asks the first person she sees where the Jedi is. This person points her to the right place, and she goes there after paying him. She then finds the Jedi Master, and immediately confronts her saying that we have unfinished business. Now, to avoid confusion later, this character, the mysterious girl, is May. We know that she is not Osha, because Osha will be seen later and does not have a head tattoo. We also know later that the person that she's after here to kill is Master Indara, who's apparently the village protector. May wants to fight Indara, Indara says no, so then she proceeds to immediately start beating the patrons in the bar. After beating up like 5 guys for almost 30 seconds and Indara just randomly sitting there, she finally decides to go in and help and stops May from continuing. Indara seems very confident with her abilities, while May on the other hand is taking this as seriously as possible. After May starts threatening some civilians, Indara finally takes it seriously and reports that she's fighting a mysterious force user. Indara gets the upper hand and unmasks May and seems to recognize her. Finally, Indara takes out her lightsaber after getting force pushed away. Indara tries to stop May from fighting. Instead, May throws a knife at the bartender. She then uses this opportunity to throw another knife at Indara while she's distracted. Indara dies, but May leaves without taking her lightsaber. She then threatens the bartender to kill him, but once she sees that he is a child, she leaves instead. Scene ends, and we get the Acolyte title card. We then see a character wake up who looks exactly like May. This is Osha, May's twin sister. You can tell by the fact that she does not have a tattoo on her forehead. Osha gets her clothes on, grabs her multi-tool robot Pip, and talks with a fellow crewmate named Philip. Both of them appear to be mechanics, or machnics, which apparently is not allowed. While putting on a fire, Osha gets a brief hallucination before snapping back to reality. Philip and Osha see a ship coming in, which we soon learn has 2 Jedi in it. We then meet Yord, a Jedi Knight, and Tassie, a Jedi Padawan, both who are looking for Osha. We learn that Osha used to be a Jedi, but she left the Order 6 years ago. It's implied that Yord and Osha trained together, but for some reason she left. The bartender is brought in as a witness, confuses Osha for May, and Osha gets arrested in her place. Yord seems to think that Osha is innocent, however, is taking his duty over his relationship. We then cut to Coruscant and see a character named Master Soul teaching a bunch of younglings, which he seems very accustomed to. Soul's friend, Master Venestra, comes in, and it informs him about the situation with Osha and Indara. Indara is seeming to be Soul's friend. Venestra specifically says that she has known Soul since he was young. Soul believes Osha is innocent, but Venestra is looking out for the image of the Jedi Order. Now, everything up to this point has been fairly, standard. Nothing completely wrong with it, the only weird part being Indara randomly standing around while the citizens of a bar gets beat up for 30 seconds. This next scene, however, is baffling in many ways. First, Yord has Osha transported on a prison transport instead of taking her in personally. Second, the ship only has robots on it, only 1 guard and 2 pilots. You'd think there'd be more, considering one of them has supposedly killed a Jedi and there's 8 other violent criminals. The third, and most prominent, being that none of the prisoners are restrained in any way besides being in cells. One of which is part droid, which ends up why the ship crashes, because he hacks the pilot. You'd think there'd be some way to stop him from doing that, being the fact that he's in prison. Not to mention the dude with the weird grabby head, which is able to destroy a droid with accuracy and precision. And finally, the potential murdering Jedi who has force powers, completely unrestrained, unbinded, no gag whatsoever. The worst thing is that could have solved 8 of these problems, besides the one guy who's a droid, with a diebuck, which they introduce in this scene, which disables a person's ability to do basically anything. Anyway, the grabby hand guy breaks the droid, lightly taps his hand against the cell lock, I guess, and it opens for some reason, even though the hand isn't powered at all. The prisoners, for some reason, refuse to get OSHA out, so they leave, but they also leave the dude who has the diebuck on his mouth. Because the ship isn't piloted, it hits an asteroid, knocks a crate right in front of the cell, and OSHA's able to reach Pip after not able to grab him with the force. The ship just happens to knock him over there, which is pretty lucky, but not the worst thing. The ship then happens to land on a planet, but she survives the crash and gets knocked unconscious. We then cut to Sol, who's looking at an image of OSHA. He again gets interrupted by his new Padawan, Jackie. They have a cute conversation about how memories are lessons. She then brings Sol down to the prison cells because Vanessa requested him. Vanessa then reveals that they have all the prisoners except for OSHA, and though she crash landed on Karlak. Now, I'm not sure how long it took them to grab these guys, but I'm gonna assume it at least took a day for them to get everyone to Coruscant, seeing as they need to get, both the escape pods because the diebuck guy betrayed OSHA earlier, and the other guys went a completely different direction, and there's no way that they could have found him that quickly. The prisoners are saying that the break was from OSHA. Sol interrogates the diebuck guy. The diebuck guy reveals that OSHA saved him before he abandoned her and took the last escape pod before the ship crashed, so therefore she must be on the ship. Vanessa trusts Sol's judgment, but thinks the case against OSHA is pretty rock solid, but gives him permission to get a team to go down and get OSHA. Sol chooses Jackie and Yord, who appear to have some familiarity with each other, and the three of them head to Karlak. While in a coma, OSHA has a dream about her sister, May, and this causes her to believe that she is still alive and that she killed Master Indara. Sol reveals to Jackie that May started a fire that ended up killing all of their family, including her, except for OSHA. Sol says he watched May die, and this is why both OSHA and Sol believe that May is dead. Some time passes after OSHA wakes up, and, well, it's weird because Sol and his crew end up getting there like seconds after OSHA leaves the ship. Which means OSHA's either dicking around in the ship for a long time, or she was comatose for like a whole day, or hours at least, but still. She was in a freezing ship with no power and holes out into the icy hellscape. I have no idea how she has all of her limbs intact. Yord thinks she died and the ship got hit with scavengers. Jackie realized someone was alive, and Sol's able to track either via mind powers or just actually tracking skills until he runs into OSHA. OSHA seems surprised to see Sol. Sol seems to have seen OSHA. OSHA almost falls off a cliff. Sol saves her. Despite Yord and Jackie being a little iffy, Sol says that OSHA is going to come in quietly, so they all go back to their ship. OSHA says that she knows May is still alive, and Sol says that he believes her. The final shot is May walking on a beach while a mysterious man is voicing over. We then see him before the scene ends. He then talks about how an Acolyte does not use a weapon against their enemies, and that the Jedi think everyone has the same dream. It's really vague moralism kind of stuff before he activates his red lightsaber and the episode ends. So, all in all, the episode was pretty decent. Big problems with the episode are Yord putting her on a prison transport and not taking it himself, which he then apologized for later, so at least he acknowledges his mistake. That scene was probably the worst thing in the whole episode. I don't understand and can't really answer any of the questions I posed that make any sense to me. The only other big inconsistency is Master Indara. She is shown to clearly care for the lives of citizens, yet she let the stranger beat the shit out of him for like 30 seconds for no reason. If you want my honest opinion, I give Episode 1, Lost and Found, a 7 out of 10. We got decent character development on the main Jedi and the twins, and we got mostly understandable action scenes. Thank you guys for watching, and hopefully you'll get enough views on this to justify making more. But for now, goodbye.